get Bruce Druckenmiller up here to make the final drawing, and we'll end up today.
Just one.
You know, one of the most practical ways that we do things in America, when we want to support something we believe in or accomplish something, we do it through some kind of a club movement. And one of the current examples is an organization called MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. A lady out in California started this organization. It's sweeping the country, and I suggest to you that it's probably going to get rid of drunken drivers in America. But that's a current example of how things are done in this country. If you believe in good schools, there's a PTA chapter in about every school in the nation. Make it easy for you to belong. If you believe in Veterans Affairs and National Defense, there's a veterans organization, usually American Legion, VFW, Post, in every town in the country, practically. But if you believe in good government that involves better candidates and all the things that go into trying to make our government better and more responsive and so forth, where's your club? Where's the organization for people to participate? And ladies and gentlemen, there are still town after town across this country where there's not a single political club of any party. And then we wonder why people march in the street and flirt with violence a lot of times when they want to change something or improve something in our government or others. Some of us, the way Pachyderms originally started, was some of us, the amateurs in politics, looked at the situation, and we saw in both of our major political parties in America, we had Republican women's clubs, the most numerous, thank God for them. They've done a tremendous job for the party. The Democrats, roughly the same type of organization. Then we had young Republicans, college Republicans, a few teenage Republicans. But if you're a man and you weren't, or you're beyond the young Republican age, where's your club? Where's your organization? And the fact is that in both of our major political parties, there was no national organization for men. None. Nothing to compare with the American Legion, JCs, or any other organizations going on around the country. And so when we looked at that situation, we thought, isn't that just a little bit strange that we don't have a vehicle like this, which is the most common one, for us to participate in politics? And this is the whole reason, or one of the major reasons, why we thought that a club like Pachyderm was needed. It's needed in this country. And none of us know what would happen if we had a small group of people. We don't have to have large numbers. If we had 10 people meeting in every city in this country, becoming knowledgeable about politics, and learning the law that governs political parties in their state, and a few other things about politics, and how you have to use ridicule and a few other things to get elected, how you have to play the game. If we had a few people doing that and learning and becoming knowledgeable in every city in the country, how many of us know how it might improve the whole political system and give us better quality candidates and some of the best people in our states that are holding public office, like it used to be when Thomas Jefferson and James Madison and Alexander Hamilton and all those people you read about in the early days that were the state legislators in Virginia and some of the other states in the early days. Some of those were the greatest, smartest, wisest scholars in their state. Now, can we brag about that today? Do we have some of the brightest, best, successful men and women in our country serving in public office? Or are we still going around and call politics dirty and politics crooks and all of that sort of jazz? When the very fact is that there's no such thing as having a free government without politicians. There's no such thing as having a free government without somebody willing to run for public office and serve in public office. And if you're not going to serve for public office, the least you can do is try to help the best qualified person get elected to public office. That's the real truth of it all. And the real fact is that somebody needs to be asking and telling and inspiring these high school students of every generation to come along. Somebody needs to be inspiring those brightest young people to take George Washington's place and Abe Lincoln and Jefferson and all the rest. And that's one of the things Pachyderms can do, and one of the things that Ken Gunderson when he came up with, he was chairman of our committee on goals and objectives here about a couple of years ago. And one of the objectives for Pachyderm was that we ought to strive to put a little balance and a little common sense in this understanding of politics in America. The fact is that, like Guy Vanderjagt told us, when you asked a mother would she like for her son to be in politics, guys, they've taken that poll for, I think, about 80 or 100 years. And if you read the poll, it wasn't Watergate that put it down to, 40% or less or something. If you go back to 1945 or some date like that, you'll find out that some low percentage of mothers wanted their boy in politics, because we've got this image that politics is dirty, politics is crooked. And it's a bunch of false hogwash for us to keep on talking about that like that. It's like Mr. Vanderjagt said, if there's something wrong with it, let's get the bar soap and clean it up once in a while. But my gosh, doesn't realize what it really means to us. And so, if you heard a guy like Sam Haikalia, the former senator from California, who said that the most important job of a politician is to resolve serious problems, serious conflicts, resolve them without violence. That's the job of politicians. And when they resolve all those problems, and it's peaceful enough to live in your town tonight, we sit around and don't even realize why it's peaceful enough for us to go to sleep tonight. You know why it's peaceful enough to go to sleep in St. Louis tonight? I suggest to you it's because you got some city councilmen and a mayor that's on the job and doing some kind of a reasonable job. If those politicians weren't doing a reasonable job, you'd love to have labor unions fighting somebody else, or people coming up on the streets with ball bats or lead pipes or rifles. And we've seen it happen every once in a while. Once in a while, the politicians fail in their job. The political process fails, and once in a while, you see that even in our country. But then when you look at some place like Ireland, you see where the political process has really failed, and the politicians have not been able to solve that problem. Same way in the Middle East. But in America, we've solved every political problem. We've solved them all rather peacefully except one. When our politicians couldn't resolve that one, it ended in a civil war, and what a bloody war it was. And that's what happens when politicians can't do their job. So I suggest to you that we've got a lot of work cut out for us as pachyderms, and we need to put some common sense and balance and understanding of politics and what it means to us all. And the truth is, one of the best ways we can help our country is to see that we have the best qualified people we can find, and our best citizens, and encourage and inspire them to get into politics. And that's one of the things every Pachyderm Club ought to be striving to do. Find good candidates and the best they can find to serve our people. And that's the way our country can survive the best, in my opinion, and I think that's one of the great things pachyderms can do. A lot of politicians say the last thing I need is another club. The last thing I need is another meeting. Does that bother you any? Truth is, we got so much competition for our time. We got all kind of things to do besides go to meetings. But the truth is, people go and do whatever they believe in. If you believe that pachyderms are important, then you go to the meetings. One time over in Columbia, we had Governor Bond was going to come to speak on a January, and it rained about, I think it was about a foot, rain, or snowed, I mean, that day. It was in January. And everybody was all worried. They said, oh my gosh, snow on the ground about a foot deep, nobody will be there. Well, what do you know? 150 people showed up. And you know what that proved to me again and again? I've had it proven to me over and over. People say it's raining, it's snowing, nobody will come to me. Baloney. They'll come out if they want to come out. And if they believe in something, they'll come out. And that's the truth of it. And so, when we make believers out of people, you know the old saying, one person with a belief is worth 99 without. Well, we really ought to change that and say one person with a belief is worth about 10,000 without. But that's the whole guts of it. And we really haven't done a good enough job as we ought to do in pachyderms to try and rekindle our spirit and rekindle our belief and rededicate ourselves to what we're doing here. And this is what we need to do. In our clubs, we need to do more of it. And we don't, I hope we can improve it in the next year or two. We need to have those Founders Day like most other organizations have, where we brag about our purpose and where we talk about our purpose and why we're here and what we're here to do. And so I hope in this next year that our new board and officers can do something to remind us all how we can do our job better, because the job is worth doing. Or with the rededication for what Pachyderms are all about, and the fact that we can do something good for this country, and there's still so much ground to plow, so many clubs that need to be organized, and we have no axe to grind in it. We're not pushing an issue, we're not pushing a particular candidate, we're just saying that for the American government to be what it ought to be, there ought to be clubs all over the country where people can join and do something in politics. So anyway, that's the end of my serious discussion. I appreciate